I have recently been thinking about Logia Devil Fruit users and how they are unique, besides the fact they can become their own power. I have been thinking and rewatching parts of One Piece, and I have noticed that Haki doesn't seem to work as well as it should all the time. Armament Haki has said to be one of the only effective ways to beating a Devil Fruit user. Rayleigh even demonstrates this on Luffy via a light flick to the forehead. Also, when Garp was first introduced to the storyline, he bursts down a wall and punches Luffy in the head. Luffy rolls on the floor in pain with a huge lump on his head for comedic effect. Haki has been foreshadowed for a long time in the show. It is said that everyone Vice Admiral level or higher has Haki, or is in the works of mastering it. We know that all of the Admirals have it. We also know that many high-ranking pirates have it. Most of the Yonko's crewmates have Haki, maybe aside from Big Mom's and Blackbeard's crew, who we aren't too sure about right now. We see this a few times throughout the show. We see this when Marco of the Whitebeard Pirates kicks Admiral Kizaru in the arm, sending him flying. We also see Diamond Jozo use it against Admiral Akagi after he was stabbed by Whitebeard. What has been bothering me for a while now is the fact that these admirals have been hit and cut with Haki, but never really got hurt. We see clearly that at one point, Akagi gets stabbed by Whitebeard's staff, and one of the Marines says, "Stabbed with Haki? Did it kill Akagi?" Akagi survived it, but how did he do so? I am beginning to think there are more to Logia powers than we think. Now let's also recall Marco and Vista cutting Akanu's body. If you pay attention, it was stated that they used Haki to cut him. You can also tell by how clean the cuts are, and the fact that the magma doesn't reform right away. How did he not take damage from the attack with Haki? He seemed to be slightly paralyzed for a short time, and even stated how annoying with an aggravated tone, but no blood and no fatal effect. For now, let's zero in on Whitebeard stabbing Akagi. If you pay close attention, you might catch what I'm about to say. As Whitebeard stabbed Akagi, ice instantly swarmed around the part of Akagi's body that the blade stabbed through. The ice continued to swirl around for a little bit. From what I know, and what seems logical, ice doesn't swirl around or free flow like other substances, unlike Akanu's magma, which flows constantly, and Kizaru's light, which shines or reflects out in straight line patterns. Ice doesn't flow. Also, Akagi was stunned for a few seconds. It didn't look to me like he just stopped moving just to give us a dramatic pause. I think there's more to it. Recall Whitebeard's expression when Akagi shakes off the stab and ice begins to spread out from the spot the blade hit. Whitebeard seems slightly shocked. Usually he knows people's powers and smirks at the scene of them not affecting him, like he did when Akagi froze him earlier. Okay, well, let's come back to Akagi in a little while. Now let's talk about the bastard Akainu. Akainu was attacking Luffy right after he killed Ace. Jinbei, Marco, and Vista blocked him and drew his attention away temporarily. Marco and Vista slashed the back left of Akanu's neck and back. The cuts were clean and left no magma reformation for a little while. It is said that the cuts were made with Haki, but as with Akagi, Akainu didn't get hurt. He just seemed to be stunned for a few seconds. How did he not get hurt by their Haki either? He's a Logia type. Haki is a very obvious and powerful weakness for Devil Fruit users. This doesn't seem right to me. Akagi and Akainu both walked off Haki attacks after a few seconds. Well, since the other two admirals were barely affected by Haki, what about Admiral Kizaru? Kizaru blocked Marco's Haki kick to the arm and was sent flying down. He steps out of the wreckage with not even a single scratch. How is it that the Haki had little to no effect on him? I'm going to try to explain how I think all of them went unaffected by their attacks. First, let's recall Akagi's ice that swirled around his wound. The ice seemed to be there the second he was struck there. Okay, he was able to shake that attack off, but it wasn't so easy to shake off Diamond Jozo's punch to the face using Haki coated in diamond right afterward. Was this because diamond is the strongest thing in the One Piece world as of yet? Is the diamond too hard to block even for a Logia type? I don't think that is necessarily the truth. I believe that Akagi didn't see his punch coming in enough time to fully block or dodge it. Also, if you notice, right before Jozo hits Akagi, Akagi turns himself fully into ice. Somehow he recovers from the blow, but is left with blood dripping out of his mouth. This means that even though he turned into his Logia power, he was still hurt. I think that Akagi may have seen Whitebeard's blade coming and took extra measures with his ice, but he didn't with Diamond Jozo. But how did the Haki not cancel out his efforts? Well, I'm leaning towards the whole swirly ice thing. I think that the ice somehow blocked the blade from directly hitting his body, but instead hit the layer of ice and somehow blocked the Haki's full effect. The next thing I'm going to say may sound a little out there, but be assured that this is not my final point, but rather just an idea to throw around. Maybe there's more to a Logia's powers that we don't fully understand yet. I feel that there's a slight possibility that the ice is so powerful and so cold that the Haki couldn't withstand it. Now, like I said, that sounds far-fetched for One Piece, but think about it in terms of Akanu's power. I think when it comes to Akanu, his magma is so hot and so powerful that it melted the Haki when it impacted him. If you think about it, Haki is only as strong as you make it. It is a measure of your willpower at the time, which in terms of Armament Haki, takes on physical form. If your will isn't strong enough at the time, it may be cancelled out or overcome. Now when it comes to Kizaru, I think it's a different story. I will get into that after this next idea. Aside from the other theory, I think that the Admirals are just purely too strong for common Haki users. Even though the people who use the Haki attacks are Yonko crewmates and really strong pirates, I don't think their Haki is as strong as it should be. they probably aren't as skilled in Haki as some might think. Now on the other hand, they are not weak in Haki, but I don't think they are as skilled in it as say Shanks or his crew. If you noticed, everyone who used Haki during the war could barely halt the admirals, as opposed to Shanks who jumped in and blocked Akainu with ease. Now, if either Akaji or Akainu somehow overpowered the Haki with their own abilities, or just plain took the attacks with little to no damage, Kizaru had somewhat of a different experience. Kizaru blocked the kick from Marco and joked about it. Marco then pushed down on his arm with a lot of force. Kizaru then went flying down into the ground. But if you watch closely, Kizaru actually turned into his power. He flew down in the form of his light. Was he just messing with Marco? He had the opposite effect of other Logia types. He didn't stay in his normal body, yet he turned into light. Also, after he hit the ground, the light never went away and he just teleported away without a scratch. Does that mean Kizaru just blocked Marco's kick without using his own powers? Either way, if that were the case, he would have gone straight through him. We have seen a number of times that Kizaru's powers, and most Logia users' powers, are always active. They don't necessarily have to be paying attention to use their powers. We see this when the random pirate tries to shoot Kizaru in the head when he's trying to use the communicator in Sabadi. He is clearly not paying any attention to the bullet as it hits him. Some will argue that he just used observation Haki and made his body into his power for a split second. That just sounds like too much work, especially since we're talking about Kizaru here, who wasn't even coming close to paying attention when the bullets were flying through his head. If you think about it, Luffy's always rubber. Even though he's not a Logia type, his body maintains his rubber form even when he doesn't stretch his body. The same goes for most powers. If you take other people throughout One Piece besides Kizaru, like Crocodile, Akainu, and Akaji, they were always in their Logia form, even when they were not fighting. Even if they had no idea that you're going to hit them, the attacks would pass straight through them, especially with Crocodile. Kizaru also showed this when Brook stabbed him really fast repeatedly when he was standing on Zoro's back. Kizaru just let the blade pass straight through him. I am very positive he didn't counter all those blows or just turn into his light power. He was just focusing on crushing Zoro at the time. Overall, what I'm trying to say here is that there has to be more than just they weren't using Haki at the time. That is too boring and doesn't even seem right, especially when it was hinted that these characters have Haki. Especially when it came to Akainu literally being cut by Haki by both Marco and Vista. I mean, even if you don't think Marco has Haki, Vista on the other hand is a highly skilled swordsman. He's a swordsman in a Yonko's crew as well. At this point, he would definitely know Haki, especially since he held his own against Mihawk for a little bit. With all of that said, what do you guys think? Do you think there is more to the Logia user's power? How do you suppose they didn't get hurt from Haki impacts? If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like, it would be greatly appreciated. This video took a really long time to make. Also, subscribe if you're new, if you want to see more anime discussion, theories, and other shiz. I hope you guys enjoyed, and peace.